Good day. In this presentation, we would be discussing how public partnerships significantly contributed to the development of Naga towards becoming a Galing Pook case. As an overview, here is Naga's mission and vision as a city. To correspond to this, the vision of the partnership is to contribute to a city where there is clear accountability, especially in government, where all citizens and sectors are empowered so that they have a say in governance, and where most especially the youth is harnessed and developed for the new generation of leadership to carry on good governance today and tomorrow. This partnership's mission, therefore, is to actualize people power, wherein it is the people themselves, enabled by their government, to chart the future they want through participatory governance and responsible citizenship. In that aforementioned vision and mission, and as well as in the various partnership ventures which we will be discussing, the following collaboration goals are apparent. 1. Multi-sectoral participation, that all stakeholders, clustered according to their sectors such as the senior citizens, urban poor, women, and business owners among others, are engaged by the local government in its decision-making towards the formulation, implementation, and evaluation of policies and projects, that they have a say not only when the government act is already done, but that they have a say on what the government and the people will collectively do. 2. Citizen participation, that the citizenry of Naga are not only passive adherents but active actors in local governance, such as their participation in development policy making and provision of feedback regarding the quality of government services offered by the local government unit. It is important that this participation be genuine and not mere tokenism. 3. Youth development, that the skills and talents of the youth are harnessed and developed in cognizance of their contribution to local governance and their stature as the next generation of leaders who will take on the cudgels of sustaining and further revitalizing the current leadership trajectory of the city. To fulfill those goals, Naga pioneered 4 key collaboration ventures with various stakeholders as partners. Naga City People's Council, to pursue the vision of inclusive governance and genuine stakeholder engagement. The Naga City People's Council is composed of 14 sectors, which in turn consists of various associations and civil societies. Each will have representatives which comprise the Board of Directors, which is the key policy-making body of the Council. Metro Naga Development Council, remaining steadfast to the vision of participatory urban development, the Metro Naga Development Council unites 15 local government units which comprise the region of Metro Naga in efforts to share the burden and the fruits of achieving regional development, knowing that the progress of one city or municipality can spread to be a progress of the entire region of Metro Naga. Naga City Youth Officials Program, for tomorrow belongs to the youth. The Naga City Youth Officials Program select the best of the best youth of Naga through a tedious selection process composed of written examination followed by a panel interview. The successful applicants will be placed in the positions which parallel that of the local government unit itself. Naga Productivity Improvement Program. This endeavor of enhancing the quality of how the government serves the public is powered by internal partners in the local government unit, the officials of the City Hall. Through the Naga Productivity Improvement Program, the government work hours of 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. are strictly implemented and monitored. Aptitude examinations are conducted for a organization wherein those whose competencies are identified to be mismatched with their position are matched to those offices that require such competencies, and ultimately over-the-board salary increase for the city's officials. These are the values proposed and delivered by these collaboration ventures in this public sector partnership. 1. Genuine people's participation. Through the Naga City People's Council, all sectors were given a voice to air their sectoral concerns and holistically contribute to the pursuit of meaningful participation of the people in their governance of the city. In doing so, the local government did not need to exclusively claim the burden of forwarding its agenda. In the same light, this agenda is bolstered to represent that of the will of the people because of their genuine insights and inputs to the workings of government. Accelerating urban development. Through the Naga Development Council, these 15 local government units forge a synergy which will ensure that more economic opportunities will be attracted by the metropolitan area referred to as Metro Naga. If it were Naga alone, the pace of development is not that fast and sustainable. With all surrounding cities and municipalities and Naga united, it is a more effective magnet for business ventures and for evenly spreading out development for it to be sustainable development that Metro Naga continues to enjoy until today. Positive youth development. Through the Naga City Youth Officials Program, the youth of Naga were not simply provided with leadership trainings and seminars predominated by the theory of leadership. Instead, they were finally given a chance to work firsthand in the City Hall, And as the adage goes, nothing beats experience. In fact, many of the officials of the Naga City Hall today were products of this program. This is an ode to the necessity and quality of the Naga City Youth Officials Program. Increasing government productivity. Through the Naga Productivity Improvement Program, the machinery of local government is fine-tuned through disciplining time, such that all offices of government are available to serve the people at any time between 8 to 5, reorganizing its human resource such that their competencies match their positions in order for the provision of a particular service to be top-notch, and including more productivity through salary increases, which undeniably led to more hardworking officials of the City Hall. These are the structures and timelines of these collaboration ventures with stakeholders as partners. Naga City People's Council. Its structure is composed of various groups numbering 90 members in total under these sectors: Barangay People's Council, cooperatives, labor, peasants, persons with disabilities, senior citizens, urban poor, youth, education, and civic groups, among others. Each of these has one representative, which will sit in their board of directors composed of 15 directors. This council is already institutionalized as a regular partner and as well as constructive critic of the local government. 2. Metro Naga Development Council. It is instituted among 15 local government units comprising the Metro Naga region. The body serves as both the planning and coordinating body of Metro Naga and as well as viable channels of resources. Naga City Youth Officials Program. The top 14 examinees in the selection take the positions of City Youth Mayor, City Youth Vice Mayor, and the rest are City Youth Councilors. Moreover, other successful applicants will serve as City Youth Department Heads and Chiefs of Offices. They shall serve for a term of 1.5 months, beginning April 15 to May 31 for every year. Naga Productivity Improvement Program. This program was launched in the late 1980s to the early 1990s in efforts to boost the productivity of the officials of the City Hall.
We have identified some risks on this kind of partnerships. First, conflicting views, differences in interest levels and expectations across all partners or stakeholders. So, conflict among stakeholders may cause prolonged phases in the decision-making process, delay in the implementation of projects, and additional effort on the part of the LGU to settle and manage disagreements. There may also be a gap between the expectations of partner stakeholders and the government when it comes to what resources, services, or outcomes can be offered by the latter. In this case, it would be best to set what must be prioritized, but still ensure that all inputs are being accounted for by the city government. Aside from this, effective management through stakeholder analysis could also help identify which groups or organizations should be involved in certain phases of decision-making. Second risk is the unclear roles of the representatives of stakeholder organizations. So, in what instances are they supposed to just observe, have a vote, or directly participate? And up to what extent can they exercise each of these? Statutory provisions need to be refined and revisited to define clearer roles for representatives and make sure that these people act in the best interests of the group or the sector they are representing. The third risk that we have identified is the risk of too much participation. The implementation of the People Empowerment Program and the creation of Naga City People's Council has given various CSOs wider opportunities to participate and be involved in the city's government decision-making process. This can be beneficial for the city but can also pose the risk of them having too much participation. Stakeholder groups often tend to desire, expect, or feel entitled to participate at certain levels, which could possibly become more of an interference to the activity of the local government. This risk can be mitigated through effective stakeholder management and by clearly defining how much involvement or participation the local government can offer to its stakeholders. So the last risk that we have identified is the risk of tokenism or token participation. Another possible risk which may be unavoidable over time is the risk of tokenism or token participation. Again, there are certainly some provisions in the city's empowerment ordinance which needs to be revisited and recalibrated to adapt to the needs and changing trends and meaningful people participation at the present time. Sustained executive support and coherent implementation of policies are also vital in mitigating this unlikely risk. The resources, of course, we need the legal framework. So, to institutionalize POs and CSOs participation, the city government of Naga enacted the Empowerment Ordinance in 1995. This piece of legislation provided the legal framework which further strengthened involvement of various CSOs in the city and widened areas of participation for its citizens. Creation of Special Committee for Accreditation of POs and NGOs. Section 4 of Naga City's Empowerment Ordinance also provides all the processes and requirements needed for the accreditation of POs and NGOs operating for more than a year within the city. In accordance with this, a special committee was created to process applications for accreditation, monitor compliance with the conditions of accreditation, and because of this, the city government can effectively and easily map different stakeholders that are active in their city. For effective implementation of the Empowerment Ordinance, additional office spaces, facilities, and equipment are also needed. The city government of Naga shall provide for the necessary office spaces, facilities, and equipment for the participation of the said POs and CSOs upon enactment of the Empowerment Ordinance. It is through this that the People's Council, as featured in the video, were given the chance to craft an ordinance granting them a physical office within the City Hall compound. A prime example of this, as shown in the video, was the increase in budgetary allocation for PWDs and senior citizens. Aside from this, the Empowerment Ordinance under Section 4 states that the city government may provide financial or other kind of assistance to accredited POs or CSOs in support of relevant projects that are to be implemented within the territorial jurisdiction of the city. Section 19 of the same ordinance further provides that an annual appropriation of 300,000 pesos shall be appropriated for the next 3 years for the purposes of community organizing, establishment of cooperatives, people's and non-government organizations, interest groups, labor unions, and other activities which promote and advance the people's right to self-organization. Consistent and adequate executive and legislative support. This was evident in the continued executive support by then incumbent Mayor Bongat for good governance practices inherited from the leadership of former Naga City Mayor Jesse Robredo. Consistency in the implementation of good governance policies despite changes in leadership are key factors in the continued success of partnerships between the CSOs and the city government. Adequate support from administrative staff or officers. Successive partnership programs by the government with CSOs and the citizenry are vital in the People Empowerment Program. Assignment of staff, officers, are needed to manage internal administrative matters in handling the implementation of such programs. In the case of Naga City, government employees are being assigned in positions and committees tasked to plan, manage, and execute the recruitment process of interested applicants for the City Youth Officials Program. The same goes for the implementation of the Productivity Improvement Program, where support of administrative officers and other government employees ensure its continued success. Next, we have the impact. So, the following were used to measure and evaluate the impacts of the program. First, we have the Executive Committee. This Executive Committee, among the local chief executives of the 15 local government units, serves as the chief managing body of the Metro Naga Development Council. Local economy indicators were also used to evaluate the impacts of the program, with these indicators corresponding to the aspects of the local economy of Naga, such as family income, are cited as the evaluation mechanism for the impact of the Productivity Improvement Program. Aside from that, an increase in the number of registered local businesses, government revenue, and employment rate were also cited as indicators of success between said partnerships. Feedback through letters from the constituents. These were also cited as like an evaluation mechanism for the city, as 2 years after the implementation of the Productivity Improvement Program, they started receiving letters from their constituents praising administrative staff from some of their frontline services. To measure the impact, we also have the Periodic Management Performance Survey. This is an internal evaluation mechanism being implemented under the Productivity Improvement Program, which allows the rank and file to rate the performance of their superiors. Lastly, we have the private management systems. So to measure the performance of their employees, they applied private management systems to further promote PIP, or the Productivity Improvement Program, through performance metrics such as 5S and productivity improvement circles, productivity seminars, and semestral surveys to set benchmarks and measure performance.
And that ends our presentation of the public sector partnership in the Galing Pook case of Naga City. Thank you very much.